Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm going to be comparing the two minifigure compatible Benatar sets from LEGO Marvel Superheroes. This ship was the Guardians of the Galaxy's main ride in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. I do have the polybag version as well, but I didn't want to include it here because I didn't want to go digging through my collection to find it, because people want to see, the minifigure scale versions of the ships. So on the right, we've got the Thanos Ultimate Battle set from 2018. That was a pretty good set and retailed for $70. It was the only way to get like that tricked out Mark 50 Iron Man, an exclusive Gamora, and the only way to get Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet in the Infinity War wave. And then on the left, we've got the new Guardians ship set from 2021, part of the Infinity Saga line. And that's actually based on Endgame. You get 4 brand new exclusive Guardians of the Galaxy minifigures and a Thor figure as well as a Chitauri. So let's take a look at these minifigures first. On the right are the older versions. This version of Iron Man, that piece did not come in the set. I'm just using it here to help him stand up. But this version of Iron Man was amazing, with that full kind of like backpack with the booster rockets. His suit could do a lot of stuff in the movie, and LEGO, I feel like, hasn't always given us the best builds, but this was really awesome, and I really like this version of Iron Man because it's just incredible. And again, this was the only set that you could get Thanos in, but honestly, this is the worst Thanos that LEGO has ever made by far. He just sucks. He looks nothing like the movie. He has his sword, except he only used the sword in Endgame, and it was double-bladed, not single-bladed. His torso printing isn't that special. His head is stupid because it's just the comic book mold. So yeah, this was a very, very disappointing minifigure, or big fig, considering he was the main villain of the movie. He did come with the Infinity Gauntlet. It only came with the Reality Stone in this set, but I have filled it with all of the Infinity Stones. That was a great piece, but again, it's just not the best Thanos figure that LEGO's made. I really like Gamora, though. She's probably my favorite minifigure of the set other than Iron Man, because we finally got her in like her black outfit. She is wearing that brown like trench coat under or over it. But this was a fantastic figure, and I still think it's actually I was going to say I still think it's the best Gamora, but we've had some pretty good Gamoras with her red Guardians of the Galaxy suit, and then now the upcoming Gamora with the Blade of Thanos minifigure from What If in the CMF series. The minifigure selection of the new set is much better. I do have some gripes with it, but we've got Star-Lord, great new version, Mantis, great new version, Rocket, great new version, and Groot, great new version. Rocket and Groot now have accurate colors. Rocket's now brown, Groot is now dark tan. So I'm very partial to those two figures. I don't like Rocket kind of from the neck down, though, because his body should be dark blue, and I don't like that you can see that brown strip. The variant of Thor is cool to have, even though he was in a casual outfit for this scene, and the Chitauri is a very useless addition, and I don't love it. So honestly, if there was one thing that I would change about both of these minifigure lineups, is I would add one more Guardian to both sets, because, let me just move Iron Man into frame there. 3 minifigures and a big fig for a $70 set, that is not a good value. It wasn't a good value in 2018, it's not a good value now. Look at the Endgame Final Battle set. We have the best big fig that LEGO's ever made, in my opinion, with like the very first rotatable head, and we still have 6 minifigures in a $70 set. This build is a little bit more substantial, but still, this sucked back then, and Drax or Mantis or someone should have been in this set. And the same goes for the current Benatar, because Thor and the Chitauri are nice, but they really should have been replaced by Nebula and Drax, because we haven't gotten a Drax since 2017, and we still don't have an Endgame accurate Nebula, and she was one of the most important characters in that movie. But now it's time to compare the builds. Both of these ships are very respectable sized, and when I saw the new one, I thought that it wasn't that much bigger than the old one. I am pleasantly wrong. It is quite larger, so I'm just going to put them one in front of the other and kind of try to get a top-down view of that. All right, I've just taken my phone off the stand so that you guys can really see the size difference here. It doesn't look quite as extreme as I think it does in person, because the smaller one is positioned towards the front, but it is a pretty decent difference. Like, the wingspans start to seem like relatively similar, but then you realize that the one in front, the wingtips only reach like the edge of that UCS style version. And speaking of which, because the new Benatar is like UCS style, we do get a stand with it, which is a really nice addition. But now let's just kind of start to zero in on some of the finer details and see what the new model improves on. So I guess we'll start with the wings because we're staring them in the face. The old Benatar had these wingtips that kind of just ended in like a nice little triangle, and you could angle these individually or together. I was kind of surprised to find that that's not the case on the new Benatar. Instead, you've just got this permanently like angled down flap here. And again, I thought the light gray part would move in relation to the orange part like on the old set. But instead, we've got another flap underneath, which I guess is more accurate. That's also how the Milano works. You still got the look with the old set, but again, the new set just vastly improves on it. Detail-wise, this one obviously has more detail just because it's larger. You have little like patches of rust, and you've got like some nice mechanical detail and a lot more smoothed over parts rather than studded parts. And that's true across the entire wing. Sorry, these things are really unwieldy, but you can see like just on top of the wing, this was like entirely studded, which is fine. Like this was a very nice build and it had like stud shooters on top and everything. But this set really achieves a very nice, clean, tiled off look. Again, broken up by some patches of rust and a lot of nice detail. And they actually both have this kind of hatch on top, except on the old Benatar set, it's on the other side. This feels almost rude to compare, but obviously the new set has much, much nicer like body work. It's very smooth. It's got like a good curved look. It's a little bit bulbous up here. You have some nice air intakes. The old set, you know, it did its best, but it is obviously much, much blockier. I rebuilt the old one after building the new one, and I was just like shocked by how like blocky and angled out parts of it are. And so that really made me appreciate the newer set even more. Because again, this is a good build, but just compare this body to that body. Like, which one would you rather have on display? At the back, we encounter substantial differences again because the new Benatar set has the engine pods. I've done a full review of the old Benatar set, by the way, so you can check that out for all the details. But this has a bunch of mechanical detailing all the way back there. You have the full engine pods to actually, you know, like thrust this ship through space. They can move in and out. You can even like fold up these flaps onto the side to like, you know, get them to properly tuck in. So I really like that because this is just really impressive to me. There's even like hydraulic rams that move with it. So that's actually one of my favorite features of the new Benatar. The old Benatar is a lot more empty around the back. You do have a couple of flaps here. They're really just, you know, like just straight triangular pieces. And these can move in and out, so it helps give you a little bit of that look, but they are not substantial and there's no engines here. However, there are a couple of reasons for that. First of all, you do have a ramp back here to get into the ship, but it's also a place to attach another $20 set. So you can lift these up and then you can like kind of work these flags up. And then you can fold down this ramp, which lets you get into the interior, but it's also designed to hold this set. We'll be talking more about this escape pod a little bit later in the review, but this was a $20 set called Thor's Weapon Quest. And basically what you do is, sorry, I forgot, you have to have, this is the one part that kind of annoyed me about this ramp, is that like that part would always break super, super easily. But let me just put that back on. So fold that up, this slides in and then attaches with a Technic pin at the bottom. You fold down these flaps and then it gets locked into place by these clamps. Then you can have these flaps on the sides, like kind of just hold that in place, or again, you can spread them out a little bit, but that connects very nicely onto the old Benatar. It adds a lot of playability, and that is something that the new one definitely does not have. I'm going to go ahead and remove this before we look at the interior, but this will be added on again soon. Here are the ships on their tops, you know, kind of like upside down. One of them is obviously a lot nicer than the other. The new set has a bunch of engine pods. We have like the massive thrusters, and then we've got smaller thrusters on the wings as well. We've also got an attachment point for the stand down there. The older set does have thrusters, not as nice as the new ones, and a couple of lights, but overall it is, of course, nowhere near as detailed as this new set. And lastly, we'll take a look at the fronts of the ships before we get to the interior. Both of these work in the same way. They've got an angled section that's attached using clips or click hinges so that you can get into the interior. So on this set, it just lifts up on regular clip hinges. I hate it because it's got like no strength. It just falls down really easily. It opens way too easily because it's just too heavy for that style of hinge. It also means that you can't open the cockpit without first like opening this halfway, which really irritates me. The older set was a lot better in that regard because you could open the cockpit and, you know, that larger piece wouldn't move up. And then when you're ready to move the larger piece up, it's on a ratcheted joint. So you can actually just leave it up and it won't like immediately collapse down if you just barely touch it. So that is kind of irritating, but I like that both sets can, you know, like open like this so that you can put minifigures in without actually hinging open the entire thing. As you can see, they've got a very similar kind of like glass print. This one's a little bit more refined. It does have, you know, like a piece on the bottom as well as smaller windows at the top. And I like the purple a lot better than the trans clear. Trans clear is 100% accurate to the movie, but purple makes it look like it's reflecting the light of the space that they're flying through, and I really like that. I think that it just adds a really nice little touch to the set. You enter the interiors of these sets the exact same way. You can lift this off, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I did mention this in the review, I believe this is the escape pod on the new set. Like, I think that this is supposed to be kind of like the glass showing through because it's in the same position. But this roof comes off in two pieces, and then of course you can lift open the front, which for this video, I'm just gonna go ahead and take the front off. And it's the same situation with this set. You just have one piece that lifts off, and then I will also go ahead and pop off the front so that we can get a full access to the interior. More differences are present here as well. On the new set, you've got one chair and then like kind of like one little stool area for Rocket Raccoon and a couple of joysticks to control the ship. On the old one, you just have some handlebars that don't stay in place, which is kind of irritating, but this is actually a very clever play feature. You can pull this out, and this is like a two-seater space scooter with storage for 4 weapons on it, and that's very nice. Does it look the best? No. I do prefer, you know, having actual seats, and I really don't like the light bluish gray orange color scheme of this thing. It just looks unfinished. But it's a very clever function, and I really like it quite a bit because inside you can see it's just completely smooth over there, but it works very well, and it seats the exact same amount of people as the new Benatar, except this gives you weapon space as well and more playability. Another thing that's been kept are the rounded doorways. You can see them, I think, using the exact same pieces on both ships. I really like that, although of course the newer one is a lot more detailed and it has more rounded doorways, but let's switch to more of a top-down view so that we can really see inside. On the older Benatar, we have the two-seater space up front. Then right down in there, we've got 2 more seats, some stickers on the walls, and then there's a little cargo section that could actually hold the stand that the Infinity Gauntlet was on. But, you know, that's a pretty nice little, what is it, like 6x4 space. So you could even put more minifigures back there if you just wanted to rip up those tiles. You did get even more space when the pod was added onto it, but I want to point out, this can seat 4 people, plus you have standing room in the back. This was a $70 set from 3 years ago. Look at this set. It can fit 4 people with some standing room at the back. This is what annoys me the most about the new set. I griped about it a lot in my review. It's just got a crappy interior for such a large set. You've got like the 1 seat here, that's nice, but then you don't even have seats back here. They're just like little stools. That annoys me. We should have actual seats in this set. And then the spaces back here are super detailed, which is really nice, but you can't see it, so you can't appreciate it, and you can't get minifigures in there because it's so tight. You've got a couple clips on the walls. You can not even use those if you want to put a minifigure back there because there's just not enough space. You've got a useless coffee machine on one wall. It just really annoys me because you can maybe you can fit 1 minifigure back there and then maybe 2 here. But like this is the exact same amount of space basically as the cargo section on the old Benatar. So I just really expected a bigger improvement considering that it's been 3 years and this set is twice the size. And another thing that annoys the heck out of me is that if you just add this $20 pod set onto the $70 set, you get space for 3 more minifigures. You can put one right up front, you can put one in the middle, and you can put one at the back. It's a little bit of a squeeze, but it's not too bad. And again, that fits 3 more figures. So in this set, you now have 4 seats plus 3 seats, that's 7 seats, plus you still have cargo space or standing room in the middle. That's amazing for a $90 value. On this set, you can fit 7 people because you've got whatever, 4 here, 5, 6, and then 7 back there. But that's it. That's all you have. And honestly, that is just weak for a $150 set, considering that for the value of $90, you get like a nicer interior that can fit more minifigures. So yes, I will like gripe about that like forever because it's really annoying to me. I like the amount of detail, but it's too much detail in too small of a space, and that makes it unusable, which I don't think is a good compromise. All right, well, that pretty much does it for this comparison video. It's really hard to like decide which one I like more because obviously the new Benatar is just gorgeous. It is amazing. I love its stand, although I hate that the stand does not have a UCS plaque, which I mentioned in my review, because that's like the one thing that prevents it from feeling like a true display model. But I mean, the exterior is amazing. It's just that I hate the interior. And then on the on the older set, it looks a lot rougher now in comparison because of like all the studs and everything. But it's so much more playable. Like, it's still a really good set. And I mean, like, yeah, I know that you're not really looking for playability in a display set, but even in a display set, I expect to have a nice detailed interior that I can pose minifigures around in, which I do not have on the larger Benatar. And I do have that on the older Benatar. I mean, even adding in that $20 pod set, that just makes the set so much better, and you get 3 more minifigures. You get Rocket, Teen Groot, and then you have Thor sitting there underneath, like, Iron Man's blast. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that between the two sets, I like the minifigure lineup of the newer one better, even when you factor in that $20 set. But actually, once you factor in the $20 set, maybe the older Benatar is better, because then you've got Thanos, most of the Guardians, and Iron Man and Thor, whereas with the new ones, you just have most of the Guardians and Thor. But that's beside the point. About the builds, it's just the older one has a much better interior, and the newer one has a much better exterior. I'm not a modifier of like interiors, especially. I'm not going to do anything to the new one's interior. I just think it's a shame that it turned out the way it did, but it's still a gorgeous display piece. So let me know which one you guys like better. I'm assuming most people are going to like the newer one, but again, the old one is still really good. So that's it for today. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com. I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.